There we go. Okay. Let's do this. Load. Okay, okay. Are we ready, chat? Wait, I had to change my stream thing. It gets so lonely here. Done. Alright, are we ready, chat? So, you want to go to the castle? Good idea. All decent fairy tales tend to conclude in castles once their beleaguered, put upon heroines are finally able to wed the handsome princes they once dreamed of. Why bother trying your luck with the shore, which may very well be deserted, or the village, which will be full of dirty, barefoot peasants? It is far better to skip the suffering and go straight to the grand finale. That is very astute of you. I did not realize you had it in you to be so mercenary. I can only wonder what you will uncover during your moonlight meanderings. Let me turn this down a little bit because it's kind of... Okay. Alright, let me know if it's too low for y'all. The night is far from over, and your adventures are only just beginning. I hope only that you have brushed up on your curtsies. They might come in handy when one is interacting with a sovereign. Royals can be temperamental, after all. If you fail to treat them with the prerequisite amount of respect, you might come to regret it. You follow the path which leads to the castle, supporting yourself on weary, aching legs which feel ready at a moment's notice to detach from your hips. You are little more than a wisp of a girl, but you have been running for so very long, and your feet are so very numb, you feel like a great lumbering thing, clumsy and ungainly. The soles of your feet are screaming at you. You need to lie down, and quickly. Your only hope, as you continue to run, that you'll find a spare room available for you at the castle. Sorry, I had to get them from the oven, lol. They're space nuggies. Space nuggies? Like planets and stars and stuff? You do not know what exactly will await you at the castle, but you have visions as you run of a vast opulent dwelling. This dwelling will surely be full of finely furnished rooms in which you might rest your weary head. Moons and stars and little astronauts and spaceships. Astronauts? Astronauts and spaceships. That's so cute! I know Kira bought them. Kira loves space. This dwelling will surely be full of finely furnished rooms in which you might rest your weary head. There might also be... Oh my god! Kitty Cat Coded! Thank you for the follow! Welcome in! Welcome in! God bless. It was me. They're a brand that's not gross. I love that for you. I want to be Kitty Cat Coded. You are. It's time to become best friends with Kitty Cat, because you guys are both Kitty Cat Coded. There must also be a king and a queen inside this castle, you ponder, who will be kind and wise. And what of their children? What of a princess? Every good castle must possess a princess who will take pity on you and your plight. You can imagine the face of this generous princess with ease, thanks to the fairy tales you read in abundance as a small child. The princess will be fair of hair and blue of eye, with soft pink lips pursed like rosebuds. Rosebud. I've never seen that movie. Her limbs will be slender, her hands dainty and unsullied from physical labor, and her sensibilities will be sweeter than marzipan. She will be kind to you and compassionate, just like an older sister. You do not know what older sisters are like, though, or younger sisters, for that matter. You are only guessing. You are not a complete fool, however, despite your tendency to daydream, and you do have a few reservations. Monarchs do not, as you know from voracious reading, have the best track record when it comes to caring for the peasantry. Was there not a very famous queen who once said, with a cavalier wave of her hand, that the hungry peasants in her kingdom should content themselves with cake if bread was not an option? You think that this might be a misquote, but the point still stands. Let them eat cake. We can both be Kitty Cat Coded. Deal. Hello, this is a very pretty stream. Thank you. I just bought the overlay for like $20 yesterday, so I gotta make use of it. But thank you. Welcome in. Though royals are supposed to grant their subjects succor in their time of need, this does not always happen. Good money spending. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes you gotta spend money to have a good time. Every time. In fact, it very rarely happens. Kings and queens and princesses and princes are just people at the end of the day, and they are subject to the same caprices that all humans are. They can also be careless and selfish and inconsiderate. There is no guarantee that this mythical princess of yours, of your imagination, will help you. Why, there is no guarantee that this mythical princess exists at all. Still, you must try. It is this hope which keeps you going. You continue to run to the castle. It takes some time before you finally emerge from the woods, but finally you do it. How much time, you ask? I cannot answer that. Did I not say that time had begun to lose all its meaning? The forest is behind you now, at least, and all the awful nightmares which dwelt within it. It is still cold, though, and foggy, and very, very dark. The sun has yet to rise. You can see the moon more clearly now, though as it hangs above your head, round as any pearl or orb or crystal ball. The moonlight shines down upon the castle, which looms in front of you like a cliffside. The stone edifice of the building is imposing, and it drowns you in shadows darker than the depths of the deepest ocean. The castle is not all dark, though, not like the night sky above it. When you crane your head, you can see that there are lights flickering within, in the narrow slitted windows. It would appear that somebody is home. The king and queen, perhaps? What of their servants? What, perhaps, more pressingly, of their guards? You half expect, as you stand there, that armored knights will accost you for daring to approach the castle of King and Queen so-and-so. Do you not know your place, foolish peasant girl with the dirty skirt? Begone with you. You are not, of course, a peasant. Your family is a wealthy one, or rather they were, before your father made a series of poor financial decisions. You do not look like a young lady right now, though, with your dirty face and your dirty skirt, which is torn at the hem. If any guards were to take you for a vagrant, it would not be surprising. But, though you stand there dithering, your filthy fingers hooked in front of your filthy skirt, you do not hear any cries. Nobody sounds the alarm. Lights might be on inside the castle, but there is nobody outside of its perimeter standing sentry. There is nobody to impede your entry, and the elaborate iron gates, which are set into the vast stone walls about the castle's exterior, are open, just a crack. Dirty girl! I'm gonna eat this Reese's real quick. I've been holding it for like 5 minutes, and my fingers are covered in melted chocolate. I always forget there's not a good time to pause to like eat a little snack in the middle of a visual novel because you're just reading. I'm too locked in to eat, exactly. Now imagine that in my voice so I can hear you freak out. Speaking of dirty girl. Oh, stop, I don't want to embarrass myself in front of Kitty Cat. Alright, let me take a sip of water and then I'll get back to it. I'm out of water, chat. Kinda. I got 2 sips left. Go hydrate. It's okay. Ads start in like 15 minutes, and I'll just go get some water then. Go get you some water. I will. Just 15 minutes. I can last 15 minutes. It would be a trivial matter to slip inside. There is nobody to stop you. Why are you trembling now, you silly thing? I'll remember. You have come so very far, it would be an act of foolishness to turn around now. Go on, go. You inhale, perhaps in an attempt to screw up your courage, which has, at long last, begun to fail you. And then you step forwards. You slide between the wrought iron gates, as stealthy and as secretive as a thief, then cross the path which leads up to the tall, imposing structure. The domed doorway, which leads into the castle itself, hewn from stone, is closed, but at a push of your palm, it swings upwards. This game loves the word hewn. They use it like 4 times. Famous last words of those with ADHD. I'll remember. I will. I won't remember. Will somebody remind me to get some water when that starts, please? I love you. Saragamida. The door creaks alarmingly as it opens, the sound loud enough to split the silence like a thunderclap. You inhale at this and glance around, your eyes darting hither and thither. If there are any guards posted about the castle's grounds, they should have all been alerted by that sound. Will they come for you at long last? What will happen should they catch you? Will they throw you in the dungeons? That does not sound like a pleasant way to spend a night. No shit. At least you would have a roof over your head, though, and you would not have to keep walking. Your feet really do ache. You stand there for an indeterminable amount of time, your heart pounding a panicked, irregular rhythm in the base of your throat. But no matter how much time elapses, no guards come. You are thankful for your good luck, though it does make you wonder, where is everybody? Why, it's almost as if all the people in the world have disappeared. Could you be the very last human left alive? You frown, then press your palm back against the door. You push less cautiously this time, heedless of the loud sound which splits the silence. There is no point in worrying about the guards, not when they might very well be non-existent. Your entry to the castle secured, you then take a step forwards. The door swings shut behind you, and the resultant slam makes you jump. You did not expect it. Your heart knocks against your ribs, and, with wild eyes, you glance about. You are standing in a vast entrance hall made of stone which splits off into any number of passages. At the very end of the hall, meanwhile, there is a large, elaborate staircase, one which seems to extend to the heavens themselves. It is dark inside the hall, but there are numerous torches set in sconces in the stone wall which are aflame. They offer some relief from the shadows. You can hear the faint sound of the wind outdoors as it moans against the castle's impervious walls, but you cannot hear any footsteps. You cannot hear any voices. You cannot, more importantly, hear any people. Maybe the castle is empty. If that is the case, though, then who lit these torches? It is a curious conundrum. You muster up what remains of your courage, then cry out, addressing the empty hall in timorous voice which fails to properly fill up the space. "Hello," you say, your eyes wide. "Is anybody there?" Your voice echoes through the vast, empty hall, but it is met, yet again, with silence. You cannot say you are too surprised, but it is somewhat disappointing. Not one to be deterred, you try again and again, your voice growing louder with each subsequent attempt. No matter how loud your voice, however, it fails to reach any ears. If anybody is here, they do not seem to be particularly sociable. That, or perhaps they simply cannot hear you. Could they be in another room? Yes, that must be it. You will never find that pretty fairy tale princess of your imagination if you stand idle, you know? It is time to get to work. Put those legs of yours to good use. We walk in. Not knowing what else to do, is there anything else you can do? You begin to explore. You examine the rooms first on the ground floor of the castle, which are of a familiar scale to the impressive entrance hall, large and richly furnished, but entirely unoccupied. After some time of aimless meandering, encountering nobody save for the ghost of aeons past, memorialized on portraits upon the walls, you muster the courage to ascend to the second floor. This floor, too, you examine, wandering through a seemingly endless series of hallways until, at long last, you find a door which is ajar. From between the crack in the door and the jamb, you can see flickering light. Irregular, yes, but it is light nonetheless. Could it be from a fireplace? That would suggest, then, that this room is occupied, unlike all the others. Perhaps the kindly princess you dreamed of will be awaiting you in this room. It is with a trembling hand that you press your palm against the door. You push it. Then you step inside the bed chamber, which unveils itself to you. Shyly, you stand in the threshold of the chamber, much of your courage extinguished, and gasp. The bedroom itself is gorgeous. It is a chamber so luxuriant, not even the shadows can obscure the fine craft of the furniture within it, nor the rich patterns on the walls. It is the girl inhabiting the chamber, however, who truly takes your breath away. My wife. Sitting upon the velveteen sheets of the towering four-poster is a girl in a sumptuous red gown who seems to be of a like age to you. You do not have a clear view of the girl's face. Her head is bowed, her gaze directed downwards at her lap. You can tell from her hair, however, and from her slender calves my voice, help! And from her slender calves, which protrude from beneath the hem of her dress, that she is very pretty. The girl's hair is golden, just like freshly cut wheat, but it is the red of her dress which truly captures your attention. Are people's calves attractive? The way I just clocked that. Like, there are people who are attracted to body parts, but calves? What no water does to a person. I love that you can tell she's pretty from her calves. That's what I was thinking. Can be, I guess. Think of women in heels. I don't think I'm the target audience for the calves lovers, honestly. When I think of women in heels, I just get a little, you know, because like they're tall, and I love a tall woman, like Megan Thee Stallion, or in my case, soccer players. You probably have crazy calves, huh? Next time I see you, I'm gonna have to look at your calves. Some people get calf implants? Are you serious? I see a woman in heels and I want to know where I can buy those heels. I wish I could wear heels. I just have the flattest feet known to man that any heel makes me die. I die from the feet up. Yep, I'm gonna have to look up, hold on, I'm looking up calf implants right now. I need to see them. Oh my god. Men are getting calf implants so people don't think they skipped leg day. Okay. I guess I can see like bodybuilders being appreciative of like calves and like calf implants and that kind of stuff. Gender affirming care. Have men considered not skipping leg day? Just do leg day, you lazy butts. This is so funny. Okay. I love that the singular mention of calves in this game completely derailed us from the plot. And it's not our fault. Okay. She is so striking, you cannot look away from her. The girl is not alone in her chamber either. She has a companion, though this companion is not half so endearing as she. In her lap, perched upon her velvet skirt, is a doll. The doll's hair, like that of her mistress's, is golden, though much of it is hidden beneath a bonnet. The girl is adjusting the china teacup held in the doll's tiny hand, while the rim of the cup glints in the light which exudes from the fireplace. I'm sure I have some art about calves I'll have to find, then you'll understand. Why do you just have art of calves, Jeffy? Whose calves? Like an anime boy, or because they're part of legs? Yes. I guess. Fan art, yeah. I've never really cared about legs, you know? I don't think legs are the attractive part of a body to me, so I guess I never thought about it. Titties, however, get me every time. Show me a fat pair of tits, I'm in. The amount of times I've heard you talk about thighs, though. Okay, maybe so, actually. Was I lying? As a bitch who has very chunky thighs, I also don't think about them unless they're like ridiculous thighs. Like if it's a skinny bitch and like they have like a thigh gap, I'm just like, eh. But if it's like a thick bitch with some fat thighs and like she can close her thighs around your face and like you cannot see the head anymore, I'm in. Show me a fat pair of tits, I'm in. Pinky 2025. I need to wait, I think I can quote stuff in this bot. Hold on. Oh, I was testing something. I think you can add quotes. I just don't remember how. I figured it out. I'm adding that. And you guys should also be able to add quotes if you want to. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Perfect. Okay, not to get derailed again. If the girl is of a similar age to you, it seems strange that she would content herself by playing with dolls. Is she not too old for it? You're never too old to play with dolls. This girl will be more at home, you decide, at a ball, wearing an extravagant gown, speaking with wealthy noblemen, perhaps even princes. My bee. She should not be sitting in what you presume is her bedchamber, adjusting a teacup in her doll's hand. But you are not afforded much more time to stand there, marveling at the girl, because she turns. She raises her head. Then her eyes meet yours. You thought the girl pretty at first when you first observed her, sitting on the edge of her plush velveteen bed, examining her doll. Now she is looking at you, however, her face illuminated by the flames in their grate. You can see that you were mistaken. She is not just pretty. She is beautiful, so much so it is breathtaking. She looks as though she has stepped out of the pages of a picture book. She is simply too perfect to belong to this world. Perhaps she is some kind of vision, a waking dream, a hallucination? But no, she is none of those things. The doll in her lap is a cold, hard thing made of porcelain, and it is unflinchingly, reassuringly real. Oh, thank God. I thought I was going to say she's not pretty, actually, and I was going to crash out. Me too. She is really pretty. She kind of reminds me of Bowsette, but like if Bowsette was a fair maiden and not a stacked bitch. You know what I mean? Bitch is used positively here. Oh, true. Hell yeah. I think it's the spiky parts. And the colors. If she were a mirage, surely she would not be able to handle physical objects such as this. It is strange, though. The doll, though immaculately made, looks oddly imperfect when compared to the girl who is holding it. You right, though. I'm often right. I'm right, so occasionally. She is so startlingly beautiful. She even puts man-made representations of feminine charms to shame. The sight of her makes you feel rather weak. You always have had a fondness for fair maidens, haven't you? Who doesn't? You know what I mean? You are rather hopeless when it comes to them. Even worse than a knight errant from a courtly legend. Your character is so gay. Gay as hell. I love that for her and you and us. Visual novel just calls you queer. They said, we know. We don't have to ask for clarification. You like fair maidens, you lesbian ass bitch. Your aesthetic appreciation is not particularly ladylike, but, well, it is not every day a girl encounters an elegant beauty like this, attired in red, illuminated by the firelight. Like how ZZZ called me gay last night. Instantly. You rolled one time, and they're like, here you go, you fucking F-slur. I suppose I can forgive you for this rudeness, as too can the girl. Oh! I feel like that was really good timing. Thank you for the aggressive love. She does not seem to be the type to hold a grudge. Oh, the girl says, in a voice that, surprisingly enough, far less refined than her appearance. It is good to see you. I've been waiting. Has she? That is news to you. You blink, perplexed, a response on the tip of your tongue, but you are unable to expel it into the ether. The girl is setting her doll aside. Then she stands, the hem of her dress swishing about her legs. As we're about to start, chat, I didn't forget. I have to go get some water. Nimbly like a ballerina, she canvasses the space between you. Her room is so very large, there's quite a lot of space, then takes your hands in her own. Is it ad time? Did you get water? I'm gonna get 30 seconds. They're about to start. Okay. I'm gonna, you guys get to watch Dancing Fruit while the ads start. Okay? Hold on a second. I'll be right back. 5 minutes. Okay. We're fucking back, chat. I've polished off my Reese's. It tastes so good. Yo, chocolate is so delicious. Anyway, let's get back to this game. Let's get back to these lesbian bitches. I wonder how we're gonna die this time. You must. I also have water. Nobody get mad at me. You must, the girl says, her eyes aglow with excitement, be my new lady's maid. It's been a while, but it's such a relief that you finally arrived. I knew that you would. It took a second for it to load on my end, so I just heard your voice over pineapples. I took a sip, thank you. Thank you for the water. I feel like I'd be great to like voice a pineapple in like a kid's movie. Maybe not a kid's movie, because I kind of cuss a lot, but... Anyway. You'd never leave me alone, not when you knew how long I was waiting. Oh, I'm so happy. The girl's good mood is contagious, so much so you find yourself being sucked away in it. You're the character they put in for the parents watching. Dude, the amount of innuendos, crazy. I'd get banned in like at least 30 countries. You're tempted to accept any identity she might press upon you. You have never been a maid before, but you might not mind being this girl's maid. She does not seem like a poor mistress to serve, not if she is always this kind. You cannot mask the confusion, however, which flickers across your face. You are not a good enough actress, and in any case, this is all happening too quickly. Why, you barely know this girl. Why is she being so very familiar? It is with blank, bovine eyes that you examine the girl. Bovine? That means cow, right? Your befuddlement is pronounced enough that even the girl, despite her good mood, notices it. She frowns. Then she says, her fingers sliding away from your own. Or am I mistaken? Are you not my new lady's maid after all? The disappointment in the girl's face is abundant, so much so your heart clenches. You do not know her, she is still a stranger, but you are stuck all of a sudden with the intense desire to appease her. You do not want to let her down. The thought is devastating. You are not aware, you tell her, that you had applied to be her maid, but if that is what she wills, you would not be opposed to it. You pray that she forgives you, though, for your discombobulation. You come from a distant country, and you have traveled for many miles. You know not where you are, and you do not know who she is. What? You don't know who I am? It is regrettable, you tell her, but no, you do not know her, though that is no fault of her own. Why, you have spent such a long time running, you hardly even know yourself. Ah, so you are a fugitive then, from another country. I see. I won't pry into your past then, if you'd rather forget about it. I don't mind sharing my past with you, though. Everybody in this country knows who I am, after all, or at least they should. Now this is quite the impressive boast. If it were to come from the lips of another, you would find it unpleasantly arrogant. You do not think, however, that this girl is trying to show off. You get the feeling, instead, that she is merely telling the truth. If you don't have the pleasure of knowing me, then allow me to do the honors. My father and my mother were the king and queen of this realm, and I am its princess. I've lived in this castle all my life, so I don't know much about the outside world, but I know that other countries do exist out there. I presume it is from one of those foreign countries that you come from. It is very good to meet you. I've always wanted to talk to somebody from overseas. It feels like quite the opportunity, hee hee. The girl giggles at this, and you smile in response. You tell her unthinkingly that it is your pleasure, really, to meet her, or at least you mean to. You only get halfway through this remark when the full gravity of what the girl has told you sinks in. You come to a stop. Then you stare. Did she just say she was a princess? Yes, that's right, I'm a princess, and one day I'll be queen after I've done a little bit of growing up. My ministers don't think I'm ready to run the country just yet, but I've been doing my best at my lessons. One day I'm sure I'll be the best queen there ever was. So she really is a princess. That makes sense, you suppose, given she lives in a castle, but it comes as a surprise regardless. You hadn't known before you entered this chamber that you were trespassing on a lady of such great renown. Why, if she willed it, she could have you executed for your Carelessness. An ugly red flush creeps up your face. A flush which is far more lurid than the princess's dress as you look to your feet. One of these days, I'm gonna learn how to enunciate and read, chat. I swear. I swear. Bashfully, you stammer out a new address, that you are very sorry for intruding upon her, and you hope that she can forgive you. Oh, it's alright, thinking nothing of it. I don't mind, really. We all make mistakes. And anyway, you weren't to know. You said you weren't from around here? You nod your head in silent affirmation. It isn't a complete lie. You really are not from this country. You're not from this world at all. How wonderful. I'll look forward to picking your brain later. All of my servants come from the nearby village. Their tales are all the same, and so are their superstitions. I could do with a breath of fresh air. My last lady's maid told me I was too impetuous, but I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting a bit of adventure. Not that I've ever been afforded much of that. I've been shut up in here for so long, I hardly ever get the chance to talk to other girls my age. My last lady's maid was older than me, and so was the one before her, and the one before her. Some of the princess's fair mood seems to dissipate as she speaks, her expression turning, by degrees, into something rather more pensive. But I haven't seen any of my old lady's maids in a while, or any of the other servants for that matter. They've all disappeared. Now that is quite curious. How could a whole household full of servants simply disappear? That I don't know. This castle was full of servants once. My lady's maids, and my undermaids, and my scullery maids, and my housekeeper, and my cooks, and a large retinue of retainers. They're all gone now, though. I think my ministers must have sent them away. I don't know why they would have done that, though. They didn't explain it to me. But then again, they never explain anything to me. They still treat me like a little girl. It's so tiring. She said that her ministers sent her servants away. What of her parents, the king and queen? Would they not be the ultimate authorities in the castle's hierarchy? They would, yes, if they were still alive, but they're not. They died a long time ago. I was raised for most of my life by my servants. Oh, you answer, and then you flush. You hadn't known. It's alright. You don't need to apologize. I'm just happy that I have you now. I was getting sick and tired of only having my dolls to speak to. They aren't the best conversational partners. You can imagine so, yes. You doubt any doll, even one made by a talented artisan with an intelligent face indistinguishable from a human's, would be very good at answering back. Oh no, they aren't. They're hopeless at it, really. They're so stony-lipped. You've no idea how much of a relief it is to see you. This castle is so big, and without my servants, it feels so very empty. It gets so lonely here. Title drop, roll credits. Now that is an interesting turn of phrase. It catches inside of your head like a burr. Have you heard it before? You do not have much time to ponder this, however, because the princess is speaking anew in that curiously conversational manner of hers which does not seem a particularly princessy. OMG meta moment. Maybe she learned how to speak from her servants. That would explain why her consonants are so unrefined. Bitch, me too, the fuck? Everything I say is just like blah, 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 blah. Oh, but listen to me, yammering on again. It's a bad habit. I really must put a stop to it. You're probably tired, dear one, from your travels. Would you like me to show you to your room? She calls us dear one too, just like the gravedigger did. For context, for anybody who wasn't here last time, the first route we did was the gravedigger route, and she called us dear one, and then at the end of the route, she buried us alive. I skipped a lot of steps, but basically, we fell in love, and she buried us alive so we would never leave her. Because her entire village died of the plague, and so she buried all of them because she was a gravedigger. And now she's like, if I bury you, you won't leave me, and I'm doing a good thing because I bury people, and that's my job. True romance. Honestly, I'm not mad at her. I wish she would have killed us before she put us in the grave, because I feel like suffocating to death in a literal coffin 6 feet underground is kind of terrifying. But tomato potato. Yes, the princess announces before you can say anything in reply. I think I'll do just that. I might show you a bit around the castle first, though. It's like a maze in here, and I wouldn't want you getting lost. You'll be staying here for quite some time, after all. The princess then hastens to take you on a tour of her home. Fortunately, she does not show all of the rooms in her abode, and neither does she offer overly long descriptions as to what the few rooms she does show you are used for. She does, however, pause by the kitchens, whereat she offers you some victuals. Once the growling in your belly has been satisfied, the princess then resumes her journey. She leads you down a dark, twisting hallway and up a series of equally dark, twisting steps until she arrives at long last before a door. Dude, I love spiral staircases. I think that we, as a society, have abandoned the spiral staircase much too soon. In the house I grew up in, we had a spiral staircase, but it wasn't like a fancy, like, metal one. It was wood, but I loved it. Terrible if you're trying to, like, vacuum upstairs, though, because you gotta drag that heavy ass vacuum and it's banging against the wall and on the steps. It's crazy. We need to bring back the spiral staircase. I'm gonna make a petition. I don't know who I'm gonna send it to, but I'm gonna make a petition. The princess pushes this door aside summarily, thus permitting you the entrance to a small, humble bedchamber. This chamber is not half so opulent as the grand bedroom in which the princess resides, with its resplendent four-poster and its richly patterned wallpaper. This room's ceiling is not as high, and the singular bed shoved against the wall is thin and narrow. The walls are an unassuming beige, and the floor beneath your soles is of warped wood. There is a malodorous scent, too, which hangs in the air, one of disuse and general decay. You get the feeling that nobody has slept in this room for quite some time. That might explain why it feels so very cold in here. Though, if the princess's tour of her castle has taught you anything, it is that it is cold in every room in her abode. Now, here we are, the final stop of our tour. This will be your room, dear one. I hope it's to your liking? The princess, despite her exalted status, looks somewhat uneasy as she observes you, her eyes upturned like those of a loyal dog's. Is she concerned about your reaction to this room? Perhaps she is afraid that you will turn your nose up at her kindness. For a princess, she is awfully eager to please. This unexpected contrast between the princess's lofty title and her ingratiating attitude makes you smile. The room is rather scanty, yes, when it comes to its contents, but it is more than passable. It has a roof and 4 walls, and though it is cold, you fancy you will feel warmer once you have slipped beneath the bed's sheets. The room is not quite so fancy as your dormitory at the conservatoire, and neither is it so large, but it does have one glaring improvement over your previous lodgings. You will not be expected to share it with anybody else. There is only one bed in this room, and this bed is to belong to you. You think that the peace and the quiet will do you a world of good. You tell the princess as much, and she smiles. That's good. I was worried you wouldn't like it, hee hee. I know it isn't much to look at, but it's one of the nicest servants' rooms we have in the castle. Most of the maids sleep beneath the roof in this teeny tiny room, which is all cramped. There's 10 beds up there, and they're so close together there's barely any room to pass between them. I thought it was perfectly ghastly when I saw it the last time when I went up there, not that I was supposed to be up there. It was a rainy day and I couldn't go outdoors, so I was doing a bit of exploring. If the housekeeper had known I'd been skulking around, I don't think she would have been best pleased. Well, in any case, nobody sleeps up there anymore. The scullery maids are all gone now. I couldn't put you up there, though, in the attic with all those empty beds. I didn't think it'd be very cheery. You're not just a scullery maid, you're my lady's maid. That means you deserve good lodgings. It'd be an insult to offer you any less than this. Now, it's getting late. You'll have to forgive me for rabbiting on. I've heard it's something I tend to do. It's a bad habit, one that's unbecoming for a lady. The housekeeper's warned me enough times. You reassure the princess to the contrary, smiling as you do so. You do not mind if she talks too much. That is better than not talking at all. Her affable nature makes it easier to spend time with her, manners be damned. You were always scolded too, back in the conservatoire, for your behavior. You know full well how aggravating it can be to be unbraided, not for any particular misdemeanor, but for being yourself. Well, I'm glad you understand, the princess answers with a giggle. I really should be off, though. It's bad manners to keep you, especially when you look so sleepy. Get some rest. We can talk more tomorrow if you don't mind my ceaseless prattle. I'm glad you seem to appreciate it, at least. Though I'm sure you'll get tired of it eventually. All of my old maids did. Hehe. The princess departs, and in her absence, you take a seat upon the bed, your new bed. You cannot help but think that this is all happening very quickly. It does not seem like a very long ago that you were still in the forest, running for your life amongst the tall, imposing trees with their gnarled, grasping branches. The forest might as well be a distant memory now, though. You are indoors, inside a castle no less, and you have been given a room in which to sleep and clothes that you might wear. It seems premature still to declare that you are out of the woods, in a metaphorical sense, I mean, but things could be certainly worse. You force yourself to stand on legs which feel too weary to support you, and change into the night clothes hanging in the wardrobe. The night clothes do not fit you perfectly, but you are too tired to care about that. You are too tired to care about much of anything. You retreat to the bed and slide beneath its sheets. Then you let your eyelids fall shut. You exhale. And, lulled by the breeze which blows outdoors, you fall asleep. You are so very tired, your sleep is a deep, dark one, darker even than the furthest abysses of the nighttime. Like the nighttime sky, however, which shimmers with stars, your sleep is not devoid of those prismatic fragments you humans call dreams. Though in this case, I rather think your nocturnal imaginings are worth rather more than that. They are not dreams, are they, to watch your slumbering mind... What? They are not dreams, are they, to which your slumbering mind is subjected? You know that they are not. Otherwise, your body would not be so very cold, not so clammy. The images that flicker beneath your closed eyelids, like the ghostly images in a phenakistoscope, were not conjured from within your mind. They were instead taken from your memories. You are not merely dreaming, you are remembering. You remember the girls who slept in your dormitory and how they always hastened to use the shower first, so you were last for breakfast. You remember how, when you finally did arrive at the dining hall, the most desirable morsels had already been snaffled up by the girls who got there earlier. You struggled, too, to find a seat once you finally did get your hands on some food, because nobody ever wanted to sit with you. The other girls all acted like you were a leper, save for when they wanted favors. They never asked for these favors, mind, for why would they? To them, your father's prestige did not matter. They were all wealthy ladies, too, many of them wealthier than you. When everybody has the airs and graces of a princess, how is anybody supposed to stand out? You stood out the least in your class. Perhaps you were one of the smallest, the frailest, the sickliest, who always came down with colds in the winter. Your poor health did not stop the other girls from treating you as a servant, though, when they remembered that you existed, of course. It was your lot in life, as you dwelt within the stone walls of the conservatoire, to carry school bags across the field like a pack mule. Then, come the evenings, the girls in your dormitory had you sewing on missing buttons and ironing out the creases and wrinkles in their uniforms. If there was an odd job that needed performing, you would always be asked. But these girls did not ask you. That would have been too civilized. They ordered you instead, and, as they ordered you, they laughed at you. They laughed, and they laughed, and they laughed. The laughter hurt, but it hurt considerably less than the kicks did, and the slaps and the pinches. Once, during an embroidery lesson, one of your classmates had an accident with her sewing scissors. She stumbled, or at least she pretended to, and before you knew it, the silvery blades of those scissors were embedded in your left palm. This happened quite some time ago, when you were even littler than you are now, but you still can remember it. It hurt a lot. The scissors were sharp, and they perforated your skin, not all the way down to the bone, but enough to bleed. Your wound bled bright red like strawberry jam all over your embroidery. Then, when your professor saw it, she shrieked. Her face turned as pale as whey, and she looked for a few moments as though she might faint, though you were the one who was in pain. Your professor looked at your face, she could not bear to look at your hand, then demanded to know why you could not be more careful. Her tone had been an accusatory one, almost as if you had stabbed yourself in the hand with your scissors to goad her. The pain in your hand hurt, but the giggles of their persecutors hurt all the more. They never were punished for that. Perhaps your professor did not care enough to punish them. Perhaps she, like everybody else, thought it was all your fault. The wound, when all said and done, was not too deep. You did not even need any stitches. It healed well enough in time on its own, though it still left a scar, a white raised thing like a crescent moon. You still have that scar. When I was younger, somebody threw a pencil. Like, they weren't throwing it at me, but they were like all the way across the room, and it just like ended up in my direction. And so I like lifted my hand up so it wouldn't hit me in the face, and the pencil stabbed into my palm. It was so painful. I can't imagine scissors. Like, it didn't even bleed. Like, it bled a little bit, but it like barely punctured the skin, right? But it hurt so bad. I didn't cry a lot, but when I went to the bathroom to wash my hands, I was like, holy fuck. Anyway, don't throw pencils in classrooms, guys. You do not know how much blood you lost. It seemed like a lot back in the classroom. You could smell it in the air, sharp as iron, but it could not have been that much, evidently. If your wound had been more serious, perhaps your professor might have cared. Perhaps your classmates too would have felt some modicum of guilt over what they did. But this seems very unlikely. You know that your blood meant nothing to your classmates. Why should it? If you meant next to nothing, then the blood in your veins was, if such a thing is possible, even more inconsequential. You feel disoriented when you awake at long last with the rising of the sun. You do not remember what you dreamt, but you do not think that your dreams were of a particularly pleasant nature. If they were, your heart would not be hammering so. Ill at ease, you glance around. You are lying in a narrow bed in an unremarkable room, one with dull beige walls and a warped wooden floor. Where exactly are you? This does not look like your dormitory in the conservatoire, not unless it has shrunk threefold overnight. Your brow furrows as you attempt to recall the events of the night prior, until, with a gasp, it all clicks into place. You remember now. You are running through the woods, trying to escape from... You shudder. You do not want to think of what it was you were trying to escape from. You presume that you must have given your hunter the slip, though, because you are still in one piece, awake and alert enough to face the dawning of a new morning. One Piece mention! You still have all of your limbs, and your facial features appear to be in the correct configuration. That is more than enough to be getting along with. One Piece, let's go! I have not seen a lot of One Piece. I think I've only seen like the first 2 or 3 arcs. I really gotta get on it, because there's like, I don't know, 2,000 episodes? 1,000,000 episodes? You reached episode 400 yesterday, and you're so excited? What arc is that? I don't know anything about it. I want to meet Yamato though. 1,200 episodes. Okay, that's doable. That's totally doable. The longest anime I've ever watched, I think, was like Inuyasha, and that's like what, less than 300 episodes. I want to watch One Piece so bad though. It's so many episodes. Sabaody arc. Is that how you pronounce that? I think. I just want to watch it before we find out what the actual One Piece is. Is it ending soon? One Piece is really worth it. It just literally takes years to watch. Yeah, my friend was watching it and he finished the rewatch. And he was like, finally finished the rewatch. And I was like, you're fucking crazy. You're a crazy bitch. You watched it once and you went back? I kind of want to read the manga, but I know that'll take me even longer because, like, I don't really have, like, I don't go anywhere, right? So there's no commute for me to, like, commit, like, 20 minutes of reading it nonstop. And so I'll just, like, lay in my bed, and instead of reading manga, I'll, like, watch a YouTube video. But I won't watch anime. You know what I mean? Like, I need a commute. I need it to be, like, an hour-long commute, and I swear I could finish One Piece. It's not apparently those 1.2k episodes for the prologue. Oh, but I'm staying away from spoilers. Pinky, you're so relatable. Create a commute for yourself. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not do that. I guess my friend lives like 20 minutes away from me, so I guess every time I go over to their house, maybe I should just start reading manga. But that feels rude. Like they're a taxi. Like they come and pick me up because my car got fucked up. So they come and pick me up sometimes. I don't want to just sit there and read manga and ignore them. like they're a chauffeur. You know what I mean? You can be my passenger princess any day. Thank you, Jabby. You read it out loud to them. We listen to audiobooks while we drive you. Same thing. I guess. It's different, though. It's different. It's the same, but it's different. That is more than enough to be getting along with. You look to the foot of your bed, then blink, bemused at your discovery. You can see, lying upon the sheets, a garment, 2 garments actually, of black and white, folded into a neat white square. What could that be? A maid's outfit? If so, it would not be too surprising. You can now recall your visit with the princess the night prior, and her assertions that you must be her lady's maid. Well, if that is the role she wants you to assume, you have no qualms with it. It is far preferable to the other role you played last night, that of a startled quarry running from its pursuer. You press your fingers against the humble maid's attire. It feels surprisingly soft to the touch, not coarse like you expected. These clothes are rather fine. Did the princess put them there? If so, that is all the more reason to wear them. You are not churlish enough to deny her hospitality. You rise from your new bed, then undress yourself, unbuttoning the front of your plain white nightgown and setting it aside. This task accomplished, you then clad yourself in your new attire, black, white, and eminently sensible. You feel very far away from the girl that you once were. Your face might be the same as always, but something within you seems to have changed. Something has changed within me. Wicked mention, let's go. You are no longer a student, not as long as you mean to reside within the princess's castle. You would far rather be her servant. Assured of your newfound identity, you retreat from your chamber, then make your way to your mistress's bedroom. Hello? The castle is a large one with many, many rooms and many, many hallways to connect them, and for a brief while you find yourself horrendously lost. You cannot remember where the princess's bedroom is. You are beginning to feel rather disoriented when, to your relief, your eyes snag upon a stairwell which looks rather familiar. Could this be the way? You ascend these steps, your footfalls cushioned by the plush carpet which lines them, then find your way down the very same hall you traversed the night prior. If your memory does not fail you, then the princess's bedroom ought to be... Yes, here it is. You rap upon the door but receive nothing in the way of response. Is the princess still abed? You wonder briefly whether you oughtn't wait until she has risen of her own accord. Is oughtn't a real word? But no. The sun is high in the sky, and it would seem a shame to let that princess sleep through the day. You ought instead to arouse her. To rouse her, not arouse, to rouse her. That seems like the sort of duty a lady's maid should attend to. Not the slip, not the Freudian slip. You enter the princess's bedroom and glance about. Her room looks much the same as you remember it from the night prior, though the ceiling seemed even higher when viewed in the wan morning's light. You can see, now that there are fewer shadows to impede your view, how very opulent your young mistress's abode is. Her armoire is large and imposing, as is the grate in which you will be expected to keep a fire lit during the nights. The princess herself, meanwhile, is curled on her side beneath the sheets, looking rather less grandiose than her title would suggest. She's attired in a nightgown adorned with frills, and her hair is spilt across the pillow like spilled gold. In her slender arms, meanwhile, held to her chest, is a doll, the very same one she was cosseting last night. You suppose this doll must be her favorite. Idly, you wonder what the doll's name is, though you do not suppose it matters all that much. It is time to wake your mistress. You call out to the princess, but she is largely unresponsive. Her eyelashes are still sewn tightly shut, and her lips pursed in slumber. You purse your lips too, and sigh. Well, nobody ever said your job would be easy. Once again, you call to the princess, and this time she replies. Her response is not a favorable one, however. She sighs, then turns away from you, her doll clutched to her chest. Just give me a little longer. The princess sounds so enfeebled, but you do not take pity on her. If you have learnt anything from the conservatoire, save for knowledge pertaining to the respiratory tracts of fish, it is that one must be cruel to be kind. You do not think this adage was practiced with any great success in the conservatoire, but perhaps it will have more of an impact upon the princess. You tell her once again to wake up, more sternly this time. You will not let her sleep, for she has slept long enough already. It is very slovenly, really, to still be abed at such an hour. Oh, defeated, the princess sighs. All right, I can see that I can't twist you around my little finger. Oh, she's so cute! I'm up, you don't need to nag me. Once you have roused the princess from her bed and you have put her doll to one side, you set upon her toilet. Or toilette. You aid the princess in the brushing of her hair, a chore to which she submits willingly, like a cat might allow its fur to be brushed. You allow yourself to ponder, as you run the bristles of the princess's brush through her hair, how wonderfully soft it feels against your skin. But a curious query from the princess, "Are you all right, dear one?" brings you back to your senses. You were rather lost in thought there. Look lively now. You wouldn't want the princess to catch wind of your salacious thoughts, would you? Hello? What were we thinking? I thought you had learned your lesson about that already. Suitably chastened, you finish with the princess's hair, then set the brush aside. Now that the princess's tresses have been taken care of, you must start on her attire. The princess remains seated upon the edge of her bed, looking up at you askance. She does not ask you to avert your eyes, nor does she make any motion of divesting herself of her nightgown. It really does seem as though she expects you to undertake this task on your own. Is that all right? You ask the princess as much. You would not wish to impinge upon her modesty, but she only laughs. Yes, that's all right. It's what you're supposed to do if you're my lady's maid. I'm used to being dressed and undressed. I'm not a bit squeamish about it. She might not be squeamish about it, but you are. You have never seen a naked woman before excepting yourself. Even then, however, you have always dressed and undressed furtively, not wanting to examine your body for longer than is strictly necessary. I'm the complete opposite of this. The way I will strip down in a complete second. Naked women? The one time my friend was washing my hair, and so we were in my other friend's kitchen, and they were like, I'm gonna need you to take off your shirt or else it's gonna get soaked. And I was like, bet. And I was wearing a dress, actually, I think. So I pulled the dress down and I was just naked from the waist up in my friend's kitchen. The owner of the house did not realize, I don't think. You've never much liked the way that you look. You make a few more mumbled objections, but the princess sweeps them to one side easily. Was I wearing a bra? I think I was wearing a bra though, so like doesn't even count. Or did I take the bra off? Was I wearing a bra that day? I couldn't tell you guys, honestly. Even if I was not wearing a bra, I would have done it anyway. Is anybody else a nudist in chat? Just asking for myself. It's alright. I might be a princess, but we're both people underneath all of our clothes. I doubt we look much different. You're not so sure about that. I get too cold. But you're so solid, you know? I feel like I would have always imagined you to be like a little radiator, but I guess that makes sense. You're like a cat. You're not yet. Oh yeah, you're like a cat. We were just talking about that earlier. You have not yet seen the princess unadorned, but you already know to look at her face that you are different. She is much, much prettier than you are. But she is waiting, and you do not wish to keep her any longer. You steady your nerves. Then you reach out with trembling hands, and you begin to undo the buttons which run down the front of the princess's nightgown. You work as quickly as you are able, which, given how badly your hands are shaking, is not very. You were. I mean, you know my hands are always warm, but my arms and leggies get cold. That's really fair. Once again, circling back to the chunky thighs, I got the world's fattest thighs, and they keep me warm in the winter. I'm gonna be so honest with you. These things are my personal radiators. That and the under boob, but it's sweaty under there. So I don't. Nobody wants boob sweat. The amount of times I'll whip out my phone from my tits and it's just covered in sweat is crazy. Oh, you fumble with a couple of the buttons, flinching as you do so. The princess, however, seems blissfully unaware of what it is exactly you're doing, or not doing, for your fingers have begun to seize up with the front of her nightgown. She's not even looking at you. Instead, her gaze is directed beyond your shoulder to the windowsill and the sky beyond it. It isn't particularly sunny, but I don't think it's too cold outside. Going for a walk might not be a bad idea. What do you think, dear one? You think that you would like to finish undressing the princess as soon as possible. Phrasing. So you can make some progress on dressing her again. The sight of all this exposed skin is bad for your heart. Fortunately, you are able to make quick work of the princess's nightgown despite your initial mishaps, spurred on perhaps by your anxiety. You bid the princess to stand, which she does, and neatly she steps out of her nightgown, her motions once again as graceful and as fluid as a dancer's. This task completed, you search worriedly, for the princess's red dress. Is it just me, or is the background music kind of overlapping? I don't know. Has it been like that the whole time? I can't tell if it's supposed to be like that, actually. Hold on. I don't know. Did anyone else notice that? Is it just me tweaking out? I'm gonna restart it. Sorry for tweaking. I noticed it earlier, but I thought it was just like as we were running through the forest. Now's a good time to eat this Kit Kat. Actually. Yeah, the music was just fucked up. I think. Chat, why didn't you tell me? Where is it? You cannot find it. Sweat begins to prickle on the back of your neck. Your palms, meanwhile, feel uncomfortably clammy. The moments pass awkwardly, uneasily, as you search, the princess standing there all the while as naked as the day she was born. Why did you not find her day dress before you stripped her of her night one? What a fool you are. The princess, noting your panic, giggles, then says, "Are you looking for my dress?" "Yes," you reply, your face flushed. "That is what you were doing." "I thought so. I did wonder, before you started undressing me, why you'd not ask where it was. Maybe it slipped your mind?" It had slipped your mind, yes, to your shame. You were too busy trying not to fixate upon your princess's bared skin to think about how best to conceal it. "My dress is in my armoire," the princess says, glancing over to the aforementioned piece of furniture. That armoire of hers is an intricately carved wooden structure, large enough, or so you estimate, to fit inside it enough dresses to attire a whole ballroom's worth of princesses. "I'd like to wear the red one. It's my favorite. Would you be a dear and fetch it for me?" "I don't want to rush you, but it is rather cold in here, especially when I'm still naked." She raises a good point. You turn away from the princess and make your way to her armoire. Once there, you open its wooden doors and peruse the clothes hanging within. It is just as you expected. Inside that wardrobe lies numerous dresses, all of them finely sewn and decorated with no shortage of ribbons, lace, and iridescent pearls. You find the princess's red dress soon enough, then hurry to her side. With your spoils in hand, you hurry to dress her, concealing once again the princess's pale skin beneath layers upon layers of soft red velvet. She is easier to look at now, you think, with her skin concealed. Hello? We said cover up, bitch. That might have been the most nerve-wracking task you have ever had to accomplish, even more so than your perilous escape through the foggy forest. Why, it seems a small miracle you can still remember how to breathe. Ah, that's much better. Thank you, dear one, for your help. You have not been here a full day, but I already wonder what I'd do without you. Shyly, you assure the princess that you did nothing, really, nothing beyond your job. You did not do anything incredible. And in any case, being complimented by somebody so pretty is embarrassing. Hold on. I dropped a piece of chocolate. Can't let my dog get it. Oh, don't be like that. I want to compliment you. Why shouldn't I when you've been so helpful? It'd be rude not to, and anyway, I think you're very pretty too. Oh my. Your face flushes from this, more deeply than ever before. You ought to count yourself lucky, really, what with all of this excessive blushing, that the princess does not seem to possess any vampiristic tendencies. You're making yourself quite the easy target. Now, the princess declares, why don't we go for a walk? It's a nice enough day, and I get so very bored of being cooped up inside. You can't think of any particular objections to raise to this remark, and you think that the princess might have a point. The castle, though expansive, is somewhat stifling. The walls are so very thick that they put you in a mind of a crypt. With your acquiescence assured, the princess quits her chamber, her posture elegant and her gait unhurried. She seems not to walk as she navigates her way through the seemingly endless hallways of her home, but to float like a cloud. The hem of her dress swishes around her legs, and her hair shifts like a shroud. The castle's courtyard, meanwhile, is sadly lacking in comparison to the princess's beauty. The courtyard is fenced in by the castle's walls, which look, in the stark midday light, tall and imposing, faceless soldiers standing sentinel. Though the sun is out, it is not particularly bright, and neither is it particularly warm. The courtyard itself, meanwhile, is in a state of disarray. The flower beds are in shambles, all overgrown with weeds. It is all rather depressing. The princess's castle might be grand in scale, but the courtyard itself is simple, hemmed in to a claustrophobic degree like a coffin. The princess, however, seems not to share your dolorous mood. She instead looks elated by her newfound surroundings, her smile unwavering. She gambols about like a lamb, flitting hither and thither as she examines the weed-infested flower beds. Her frolicking comes to a cease, however, by a bush. One is full of bright red roses. Oh, how very pretty! Do you think they're gorgeous, dear one? The flowers are not too disappointing, you suppose. They make for a fine spectacle, in fact, a welcome splash of color when contrasted with the dullness and drabness which permeates the rest of the courtyard. Though the other flowers in their beds are wilted, withered things, it is not so for these roses. They are a rich, bright red, just like blood. Their heads are so full they seem almost to droop beneath the weight of their own engorged petals. This feels like a euphemism. Just a little bit. They are pretty, in a sense, but there's something unsettling about them, too. Something that is almost obscene. Okay. So I was right. How did these roses become so very red? What has been sustaining them? Could it be possible that these roses have been draining the life from the other flowers, which are struggling to grow within this garden? It is a fanciful thought, but... oh, they are simply divine. Looking at these roses always lifts my spirits. They really are my most favorite flowers. I simply must pick them. Perhaps I can use them to decorate my bedchamber. It could use a bit of color. Is this art or an edited photo of a rose? Oh, wait. Let me go back. I think it's an edited picture. It doesn't really match the art style, but I don't know. I didn't even clock that at first, though. Look at you. That would make more sense, I think. Yeah. It kind of adds to the, like, surrealness of it. Like, oh, everything you see is, like, fake. And like, a mirage. Thank you for investigating this for me, Pinky. I got you, I got you. True. I simply must pick some of them. Pinky the analyst, hello? Maybe the first 3 letters. 4 letters. I can spell. I simply must pick some of them. Perhaps I can use them to decorate my bedchamber. It could use a bit of color. The princess reaches out so as to pluck one of the roses free from its resting place amongst its brethren. You watch her, your breath bated, anxious that this gesture might result in perforated flesh and bright red blood. But the princess is not as clumsy as you fear. Of course she is not. Who did you think she was? You? Rather than worrying about other people, you would be better served if you worried more about yourself. The narrator in this game is an asshole. The princess holds her newly pilfered rose to her nose and inhales, her eyelids falling shut as the flower's sweet scent washes over her. A few moments of silence pass. Can I be honest, chat? All flowers smell the exact same to me. I don't think I've ever smelled a flower and I was like, oh yeah, this is a petunia. They all just smell like water and like dirt. Maybe I just have a fucked up nose. I don't know. Can you guys smell the differences? Don't you gasp at me? Yes, what do you mean yes? Okay, well what's the most like smelly flower? Like maybe I just haven't smelled flowers. Rose is so distinct. Are you sure? Does lavender smell like rose to you? Okay, well lavender is different. Then again, I've never smelled like a fresh lavender, so I don't know. I guess I just need to go to like a flower garden or something. I don't know. Do hydrangeas have a scent? Because those are my favorite flowers. Go to a flower garden. Yeah, I have to. You know, this is my homework after this game. I have to find a flower garden in real life. Then the princess begins to toy with the petals which adorn the flower's crown. Now, let me see. I wonder what fate has in store for me. She loves me. The princess plucks a petal from the flower's overburdened head. She loves me not. The princess continues with this childish incantation, all the while stripping her rose slowly and methodically of its petals. These petals flutter about the princess like bloody snow. The princess's voice, meanwhile, echoes throughout the courtyard, even more melodic than the strains of a pianola. Hyacinths, too, are so strong. They always smell like Easter because my grandmother always had them. Oh, that's so sweet! Hold on, I don't even know what a hyacinth looks like. Oh, yes, I do. Okay, in my head, I just thought hyacinths were fat lavenders. But now I'm realizing lavenders are skinny bitches. Skinny legends. That's interesting, though. I gotta get more into flowers. You know, as a lesbian. Hyacinth-thick. I love that. I have to check that out. She loves me not. She loves me not. The princess's fingers hover over the final petal, which crowns her nearly denuded flower. Then, with a triumphant smile, she declares, "She loves me! I knew it!" You watch the princess, amused by her girlish good cheer. The little mantra she had been reciting is one that you are familiar with. No shit. The girls of the conservatoire also used to engage in this little game. The younger ones, at least, who believed that a fairy tale prince would whisk them away. You might have participated in this game yourself when you were a child yourself, but you never pinned your hopes and dreams on a handsome prince. Your interest in princes had always been minimal, because we're fucking gay. When it comes to fair princesses, though, well, that is a different matter altogether, isn't it? Pleasantly, you ask the princess whose love it is she wishes to court, a query which makes the princess giggle. Oh, dear one, who else would I be thinking of? Naturally, I was thinking of you. Naturally. She says it so easily, as though you ought to have suspected as much, and indeed, part of you did. You wanted to believe, yet part of you was afraid to. You did not want to be arrogant enough to assume that the princess might care for your affections. You begin to blush, your cheeks almost as red as the roses, while the princess laughs. She laughs and she laughs and she laughs, her voice clear and sweet like a nightingale song, as though you are the funniest thing she has ever seen. You never liked being laughed at when you dwelt within the walls of the conservatoire, but it is different with her. You have not known her for all that long, but you are already entranced by her, ensnared. She has you wrapped around her little finger. Oh my! The princess's laughter tapers off into a series of giggles as, smiling, she wipes her eyes with the back of her hand. That was quite the amusing diversion, but I've just had an idea. You look at the princess curiously. What idea? You can't tell? You cannot even begin to guess. I just thought that all this watching must be boring you, the princess says, tossing the rose's stripped stem carelessly to the ground. You should give it a try. Please do. It'll be fun. The princess retrieves a second red rose from the bushes, deftly snapping it between her fingers, and offers it to you. I want to see what fate has in store for you two. You smile at the princess, touched by her enthusiasm. Indulging in childish games like this might not be the best use of your time, but the princess looks so very determined you would not wish to hurt her. What could be the harm, really, in consenting? The only real casualty of the game will be one singular rose, the rose that the princess is holding towards you. You reach out, meaning to accept the princess's offering, but oh no! You are clumsy, and you seize the stem of the rose with a touch too much strength. The head of the rose might be pretty, but there is more to a rose than its bright red flowers. Roses have thorns, too, a fact you are now being painfully reminded of. Pain flares through your fingers, and you gasp. You take a step back, the hem of your skirt swishing around your ankles. Your finger is stinging, and so are your eyes. You ought to have been more careful. Why were you so stupid? You poor dear, you're bleeding, the princess exclaims, alarmed. Then she frowns. This is all my fault. If I had not suggested this silly game, this never would have happened. Please let me take care of you. And how is she going to do that? Perhaps she means to take a handkerchief from her pocket, with which she might staunch your wound. Princesses tend to carry handkerchiefs around with them, don't they? Silken ones? How else would they give brave knights tokens of their gratitude, once these aforementioned knights have successfully slain dragons? Princesses can hardly dispense kisses as favors. It simply is not done. That is what you always thought, but... Please hold still. This might sting a little bit. This princess is anything but ordinary. Rather than take a handkerchief out of her pocket, she instead encloses her white, slender fingers around your hand. Carefully, as though she is handling a precious object, she raises your hand, her eyes affixed all the while on the beads of startlingly crimson blood which are oozing luridly from your wound. She licks her lower lip. She is a vampire! I could have sworn. I know that the description says she was a vampire. Unless I'm just reading into this too much. Then she dips her head. Hello? This is gay. She parts her mouth, and with a soft sigh, which borders on the sensuous, she slips your injured digit between her teeth. Pinky detective! I could tell that bitch was a vampire. Watch her not be a vampire. So much for princesses not dispensing kisses as tokens of appreciation. This might not be a conventional kiss, but feels intimate regardless, almost startlingly so. The princess's lips, which are as red as any rose, are enclosed around your index finger. Nice. You can feel the warmth of the princess's mouth about your skin and the wetness of it. These sensations make your whole body quake. You did not expect this. Tremulously, in a voice which wavers, you ask the princess what is she doing, what it is she's doing. Oh, the princess glances up at you, her mouth still enclosed around your finger. Didn't I tell you? I'm trying to stop the bleeding. Yes, you gathered as much, but... Is there a problem? I'm not making you uncomfortable, am I? It is not, you say, that she is making you uncomfortable, per se, but this is rather awkward. You did not expect it, that is all. And is she not worried that this is unhygienic? Unhygienic? The princess blinks. She is the very picture of innocence, which is funny, really, given your finger is still nestled against her tongue. Ooh. I don't know what you mean, exactly. But I've heard this is the best way to take care of cuts. My nursemaid used to do this for me when I was a child. It's what you're supposed to do. And you ask, your voice catching in your throat, did her nursemaid keep staunching her wounds with her mouth when she grew older? Well, no, but my nursemaid was dismissed when I was 8 years old. That's the normal way of things. I had my ladies' maids to look after me then. How very interesting. And did they ever clean her wounds like this? No, the princess says, smiling mischievously, because I'm not clumsy enough to cut myself, silly. Now that was quite the sharp retort. You did not expect it. Your face turns even redder, if such a thing is possible, though this might perhaps be to your benefit. With some luck, all of your blood will flow to your face, rather than to your finger, and your bleeding will stop. Has it stopped? Your injury was not a deep one. There should be no need for the princess to keep on suckling, but she still is. This is kinda... You're not accustomed to intimacy of this nature. It is making your heart flutter. If the princess knew what her mouth was doing to you, you are sure she would not be so very familiar. You feel quietly, crushingly confident that she would scorn you for your feelings and deem them unnatural. It would not be the first time. Homophobia. At this point, you should be used to rejection. It still stings, though. It stings much, much more than any thorn on any rose ever could. The days pass, following your misadventures in the rose garden in a relaxed, unhurried sort of manner. Your mad dash through the forest is beginning to feel like a distant memory, so much so you can scarcely recall the raw, naked fear you once felt as you fled for your life. There is no running to be had while you are working for the princess. You would have nowhere else to run, and, in any event, there is no longer any reason to run. The shadows which once tormented you have, at long last, begun to recede. You can scarcely recall, as you lay down in your bed, the petty cruelties you were subjected to by your classmates at the conservatoire. They no longer matter. Your attention is focused, not upon yourself, but upon the princess. The more time you expend with her, the more you come to care for her. You have become quite besotted with her, but you are yet to realize it. Well, I never. How very ignorant can one girl be of her own feelings? The princess is not half so ignorant as you are, though, despite having spent her whole life within the palace's walls. The weight of her own feelings are not unknown to her, and during one stormy night, she chooses to make them known to you. You are in the princess's chambers later, perhaps, than you ought to be, later than is strictly appropriate. It is dark outside, and there is little save the light of the moon to alleviate it, that and the fire which crackles in the grate. You have only just finished stoking that very fire, and now you rise. You look to the princess, who is lying in her bed, and you bid her a good night, as you have many nights past. With a neat curtsy, you turn to leave, but the princess's plaintive voice gives you pause. I love this nightgown. The puffy-ass sleeves. I didn't realize it went all the way down. That is so cute. We need to bring nightgowns back, just like the spiral staircase. Wait, dear one, do not go, not just yet. Perplexed, you pause, and look back at the princess. Where can we buy these? That's what I'm saying! Like, all of the nightgowns these days are kind of fucking ugly. Like, they're ugly, they don't have puffy sleeves, they just have, like, geometric patterns. I want the cute ones. Life is hard. Perplexed, you pause, then look back at the princess. Pinky exposing the fashion industry. Cause why? Why don't they make cute things anymore? They just make ugly ass things and they're like, take it, you fucking poor bastard. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll take it. Don't even mention if you're plus size. Though she is smiling, her expression is unusually wan. Or when it's cute, it's polyester. Exactly. Like, where's the cotton? Cotton is not so bad. You know what I mean? Life is hard, chat. How could you guys let this happen to the fashion industry? Why didn't you stop them, chat? You guys specifically. Okay. Ooh. Okay, ads are gonna start in a minute. So I don't want to get too deep into it. I don't want anybody to miss anything. My bad, Pinky. I'm sorry. It's all your fault, kitty cat. Why would you, like, why? How could this happen to me? Okay, I'm taking a sip. Thank you, John. Okay, I'm untrimmed. It's true, I should have. Back when I was cutting the feet off my onesies in the 90s. Why were you doing that? Why are you making a onesie, a twosie? Why have you done this? I remember when I was younger, I had this onesie, and it was a Tigger onesie from Winnie the Pooh. No, Winnie the Pooh. It's been so long. It was so cute, and it had a little hood, and it had his little tail thing, and that would be my favorite one. I'd wear it like every single night. Like my mom would have to wash it every day because I would wear it every night, no matter what. I wonder if I saw the picture. I very quickly outgrew it though. I don't like my feet contained. Okay, that's fair because I hate wearing socks. I can't remember the last time I wore a pair of socks. Not to be gross. I don't wear socks with shoes. I don't wear socks when it's cold out. I don't wear socks to bed. And I'm valid. Okay, I'm untrimmed again. How'd you know I shrimped instantly? That's not fair. Okay, I'm sitting up straight. I'm sitting up straight. Can these ads start so they can hurry up and end so we can get back to it? Amazing. You felt the vibes. You felt the shrimp vibes. Okay. Is she alright? We're just gonna read a little bit and then the ads are gonna start as soon as I click next. Oh, I'm sure I'll be fine. What did I say? What did I say? I called that shit. I'm going to have to leave. No! Don't leave! But this is so enjoyable. So sad. Is it the socks? Did the socks run you off? I'm sorry, I live in a toe out society. Thank you for coming though. I don't know if you're actually leaving or not, but thank you for coming. I had a great time. Okay, I'm just gonna read like really slow. I'm gonna read very slowly. Oh, I'm sure I'll be fine. It's just nights like this, you know, which make me feel a little out of sorts. And what, you ask, does she mean by that? Only that it is very cold and very dark. And it is very windy, besides. I'm afraid there'll be a storm later. No socks with shoes just makes me wonder about how you avoid blisters. The secret is I don't go outside. I do not leave the house, so it never really matters. And when I do leave the house, I don't really walk around or anything. Like, I leave the house, I get in the car, and then I'm at my friend's house, and I take my shoes off again. So... But like when I went to a convention, I got blisters, so. But then my mom says you just put moleskin on, like where it rubs in your shoe, and then it won't give you blisters. And it did work, but then the moleskin kept like rubbing off of my shoe, like in the shoe, so then it wouldn't really matter. We secretly carry Pinky everywhere on one of those chariot-looking thingies. Yeah. Because I'm a princess, so you have to take care of me. It's the rule. Oh yeah, I love moleskin. My mom swears by moleskin. No matter what you're doing, put some moleskin on. Okay, sorry, I'm eating this Kit Kat really fast. I'm just really addicted to chocolate. What's y'all's favorite candy? I don't know if Kit Kat is mine, but it's definitely like top 3. I will say, I will always fuck up a Hershey's with almonds though. Every time. Mini M&Ms! Those are really good. You love mini M&Ms. Welcome back, chat. How were the ads? What'd you get? Every time I get ads on Twitch these days, it's like for the over-the-counter birth control pills that just came out. O-pill? I don't know if anyone else gets them, but every time I'm gonna get an O-pill ad. Alright, let's keep going. It was awfully cloudy earlier when we went out for our walk. The princess is not mistaken about that. The sky, when the pair of you promenaded about the gardens earlier, was gray and steely, the wind bitingly cold. You can hear the wind rattling mournfully against the panes in the princess's bedchamber. The princess's castle is built of stone and it is well fortified, but even with the fire, it is rather cold. Going back to the mini M&Ms, because I can't stop thinking about them, I love mini M&Ms so much more than regular M&Ms, and I cannot tell you why. Just something about the taste of a mini M&M. I go crazy. I'm like a crack addict. Like I can hear the little like bottle thing shaking with the mini M&Ms, and I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Like I need one immediately. And after this, I might order some mini M&Ms. You do not like to think of how much chillier by comparison it will be in your humble bedchamber, which is not fortunate enough to have its own fireplace. It's the chocolate to candy coating ratio. You're so right. Like the M&M chocolate, I'm gonna be so dead ass, it's not the best tasting chocolate. It's not that good. But I think it really evens out with the coating. You're so smart. I like those Canadian European Smarties, the chocolate ones. I've never heard of those before. I'm not a Smarties kind of person though. Back in like middle school, I remember the kids would get Smarties and then they would crush them and snort them like cocaine. So I kind of stayed away from the Smarties. The moment you have chocolate from anywhere other than the US, you realize how ass our chocolate is. That is so true. Because I remember when I lived in Germany, my sister went to Belgium and she got a bunch of chocolate. And it was a chocolate war zone in our house. And we were only eating chocolate every day. It was so good. However, I will say, no matter where you go, white chocolate is still the worst chocolate. And I will die on this hill. They're a different candy entirely, just have the same name. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Canadian Smartie. Oh, but they're chocolate. Okay, they're like flat M&Ms. That's cool. Do they taste good? Do they taste like M&Ms? They're like big M&Ms with better chocolate and flat. They look like pills for kids, you know? Like they have to make the pills look appealing for the kids so they don't. Yeah, they're better. Okay. You know, maybe, you know, I'm gonna be going to Canada sometime this year, so maybe I'll buy some while I'm up there. It might sound childish, but I've always found it hard to sleep on stormy nights like this. They make me feel uncomfortable. You look at the princess with no small degree of sympathy. No longer clad in her bright red dress, she looks oddly, uncommonly vulnerable. Will she really be alright, all alone in her oversized bed, in her high-ceilinged chamber? You know it is silly of you to contemplate such a query. Why would she not be alright? There is nobody in the castle to hurt her, but still, you fret for her. As her lady's maid, it is your job to fret for her. You would never want your mistress to feel unhappy. You ask the princess what it is she would have you do, and the princess perks up at this, pleased perhaps that you are taking the initiative. I wouldn't like to take up too much of your time when it is so very late, but would you mind sitting with me a little while longer and reading to me, provided that you can, of course? That is a fair enough question, but your pride bristles regardless. Hastily, you reassure your princess that yes, of course you could read. Well, that's debatable for me. It's kind of touch and go sometimes. You are a poor student in many aspects of the conservatoire, but you had something of a gift when it came to the literary arts. Reading books is all you have ever been any good at. Oh, I see. I suppose I should have known. You're so incredible, I sometimes wonder if there's anything you can't do. Hehe. The princess's high praise makes you flush. Awkwardly, you look away. Being able to read, you reassure her, is not such a great feat. Perhaps it isn't where you hail from, but it is here. Very few of my old servants could read, and they certainly couldn't read the books that I like. This piques your interest. Intrigued, you ask the princess what books exactly she likes. Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm fond of fairy tales, you see, old ones from centuries past. I have a collection of them here, the princess says, indicating a book on her bedside table as thick as a mortuary slab. The book is old, though, and the bindings are weak, the pages brittle, and the writing woefully old-fashioned. We should play Mortuary's Assistant again, because I never got the right ending. I failed every time. I didn't trust any of my past servants with that book, but I think you would do a good job breathing life into those old stories. Would you mind reading to me for just a brief while? Please, dear one, oh please. The princess's request seems a simple one, expressed sweetly, so much so you see no reason to refuse her. You take a seat beside the princess upon her luxurious bed, which sinks beneath your weight. Then you retrieve the leather-bound book which is resting upon her bedside table and spread it open. The pages of the book are very brittle, like the princess said, and the bindings of the book are loose. What food do we eat? Like, where are we getting food from? That just hit me. You can feel in the heft of the book's manifold pages the weight of the ages concealed within it. How old is this book? Perhaps it is as old as the castle in which it resides. It is with a quiet voice, hesitant at first, that you begin to read to the princess, a tale of courtly love which culminates in a lavish wedding ceremony. All the while, as you read, the princess listens to you, enraptured, hanging, or so it seems, upon your every word. Once you reach the final phrase embossed upon the pages of this aged tome, and they lived happily ever after, the princess sighs as though this tale has touched her very soul. Would that there was a handsome prince to marry me, she says somberly, or better yet, a beautiful princess. At this point, I think I would even settle for a lowly scullery maid. Damn! You blush at this idle remark and mumble softly that this would not be proper. The storm outside is still squalling, and you have never been one to raise your voice. You do not expect, therefore, that the princess will overhear you, but she does. She observes you, her head resting against her pillows, and says, "And what would be the problem with that, As my maid, shouldn't my happiness come before any silly ideas of propriety?" "Well, of course," you reply, "before a princess to marry a scullery maid." "You're still hung up about that?" the princess titters. "Don't pay it too much heed, I'm just talking to myself." As if anything like that would ever happen, when there is no priest around who would officiate it. You think there are greater issues with the princess's plan than the lack of a priest, though she does present a good point. The castle is an empty one. Even if the princess were to find somebody that she loves, there would be nobody to make such a wedding official. You cannot help but feel like you have avoided a good deal of nuisance. But, by the same token, do you not feel a touch disappointed? Well, never mind. That was a nice story, the princess says, but I'm not sleepy yet, and it's still storming outside. Won't you read me one more? You would not mind, you reply, but it is getting late. You really ought to return to your own chamber. I know, but can't you find it in your heart to read one story to me? Just one? You can choose a short one, I won't complain. You have some doubts about that, but, as before, you cannot resist the princess's demands. It is not, you think, because she is a princess, though that is, of course, a part of it, but because she is, well, radiant. You would not, you think, as you turn to the next story, recounted in this aged compendium, want to upset her. You would rather cut out your own tongue. You read another story to the princess, which is of a similar vein to the last, impossible adventures culminating at their close in a happy marriage. This tale delights the princess just as much as the tale you read prior, and she begs for another, then another. One bedroom story soon becomes 5, and even then, when the candles which flicker on the princess's bedside are close to guttering out, the princess is not satisfied. Like a grasping, greedy child, she has never heard of moderation. When she wants something, she seeks to glut herself with it, her only request that of more. If she were less comely, perhaps her inability to adhere to the word no would be seen as a character defect. The princess is very comely, however, and so when she makes her next request, you will almost agree offhand without considering the ramifications. I think I could go to sleep now, but the storm is still raging. I feel lonely on my own in this big empty bed, so... I know! The princess's eyes light up like the night sky in a thunderstorm. Why don't you sleep with me? You stare at the princess, your eyes wide as goose eggs. Slowly, you blink. Then, just as slowly, you bid her to repeat herself. Didn't you hear me? The princess giggles. Maybe you've been so busy cleaning up after me, you've neglected to clean out your own ears. I said, dear one, would you like to sleep with me? If that is the question she truly means to ask, then it is easy enough to answer. Of course you would like to sleep with her. It would be an honor. But would it really be alright for you to accept such an invitation? It must be a gross breach of protocol, surely, for a lowly domestic such as yourself to share a bed with a princess. You sit upon the princess's bedside, fretting, while she observes with wide, beseeching eyes. She is waiting. Well, what's the matter, dear one? Why do you tarry so? Could it be... The princess's lower lip begins to tremble. Don't you want to lie with me after all? The sour present in the princess's voice... Oh, the sorrow, hello? The sorrow present in the princess's voice and in her face makes you feel awfully guilty. Hurriedly, you console her. You tell her in no uncertain terms that if she truly wishes to partake in your company, then you have no qualms with it. Why would you? Well then, don't just stand there dilly-dallying, silly. Come and join me, come. And that is what you do, after returning briefly to your own chamber to change into your nightgown. Once dressed, you waste no time in returning to your impetuous princess's side. She is already lying in her glorious four-poster bed, awaiting your return as though you are a knight-errant gone... You are a knight-errant gone away to slay some wicked dragon. The princess giggles when she sees you. In your haste to change, you have made a hash of the buttons, and she bids you to come closer. Let me fix that for you, silly. Oh no, you say, I couldn't possibly let you do that. I am but a servant, after all. Should it not be your job to dress her? Maybe so, the princess says, but I don't mind a bit of role reversal. It makes things more fun, hee hee. You try a few more refutations, but in vain. The princess summarily discards all of them. Quite at the princess's mercy, she might be even more stubborn than you are, you capitulate to her demands. You let the princess unbutton the front of your nightdress, then rebutton them, so the fabric of your plain gown is drawn shut. Satisfied with her handiwork, she has very elegant hands, the princess draws back and pats the mattress beside her. Now come in, it must be horribly cold out there, but these sheets are warm. Coyly, the princess smiles. And so am I. You feel warm yourself as you slide into the bed beside the princess. Your face is as red as the gown the princess so often wears, as red as the roses in the castle's grounds. All the while, your heart is fluttering. Does the princess know what an effect she is having on you? Surely she must. How can any woman be so blind? There, the princess exclaims, once your body is lying beside hers. That is so much better. Do you feel cozy now, dear one? You swallow, and with a shaky voice, you reassure her. Yes, you are cozy. You are quite cozy indeed. Very good. The storm might be raging outdoors, but it can't get us here. I know when I'm with you, I'll be safe. It's strange, but... The princess reaches out, then takes your hand in hers, twining your fingers together like a chain. When I'm with you, I feel so very light. It's as though nothing in the world can hurt me. You make me feel safe, so I want to make you feel safe too. I'll take very, very good care of you, I promise. You return her smile with one of your own, touched by her thoughtfulness, though something about her promise does make you wonder. Should it not be your job to look after her as a domestic? In a way, the princess replies after a pause, but you've been taking good care of me already. Now I need to return the favor. As a princess, I'm supposed to look after my vassals. It's all part of the job description, hee hee. You are unaware that being a princess came with a job description. You thought the profession came with far fewer written responsibilities and far fewer forms to sign than, say, becoming a doctor or an astrophysicist or a mathematics professor. You tell the princess this, sleepily, and she laughs. You do say some funny things, dear one. I think you must be tired. Rest your head. You've been working so hard, I think you deserve it. Yes, you think, only half conscious. You think you deserve it too. You have been working hard for a long time, have been running for even longer, but now, at long last, you feel like you can let your fears go. Your eyelids begin to droop, your body beleaguered by a sudden, all-consuming fatigue. And in a quiet, understated sort of way, your consciousness is conveyed to Morpheus's kingdom. Your sleep is a deep one, despite the storm which rages outdoors. The wind is howling like a couple of wild cats, both locked in a vicious and bloodthirsty bout of death, but you do not hear it. Swaddled by the warm blankets around you, and soothed by the princess's presence, you are immune from all the ills of the world. Speaking of storms, it is snowing like a bitch outside right now. When I went to get water earlier, I looked out on the balcony, and my dog wandered up because she likes to stand on the balcony sometimes, and it took one burst of wind across her face for her to run back into my room. It was so funny. I like the snow. I don't like it when it gets to my shoes though. Maybe I should wear socks. When you are with the princess, you feel safe, secure, and yes, you even feel loved. It is a pity, then, that these feelings do not last for very long. You know that something is wrong, catastrophically so, the moment you open your eyes. I gotta go for a bit, but I love you. I love you, Jabby. Thank you for coming. I'll see you later. Your thoughts are hopelessly jumbled, but you are certain that, when you fell asleep, it was in a bed. A nice warm bed, no less, beneath soft, comfortable sheets. You are not lying in a bed right now, though. You are not, in fact, lying at all. You are standing, instead, against a cold, hard wall made of stone. The curve of your back is pressed against the wall so intimately you can feel its icy chill seeping through the fabric of your nightgown. Your feet, which are bare, are similarly pressed against cold, unfeeling stone. They feel so frigid you cannot help but tremble. You are trembling so much you can feel your teeth chattering together. They sound like castanets. The sound is almost jaunty as it echoes through your cell, for that is indeed where you are. The princess's bedchamber, wherein you fell asleep, is a thing now of the past. You are standing instead, you realize, with a sharp start, in the cell of some great underground dungeon. You swallow, and when you do, you can taste something bitter on your tongue. Cold feet sounds like you need some songs. Maybe so. Maybe so. I refuse. I'll die with cold feet. Your stomach is beginning to churn with anxiety. You feel like you're going to be sick, a feeling which wells up inside you to a staggering degree when you catch notice of the stench. You are not, you realize, the only one in the dungeon. There are others here, others attired in the simple black and white outfits of servants, which look much like the dress that you once wore. The others who are with you, however, in this expansive cell, manacled to the walls, are in no fit state to speak to you, nor to tell you of their plights. They are all unfeeling, unseeing, unbreathing. They are all dead. You cannot approach these servants to check their pulses, for you yourself are restrained, and even if you could, there would be no point. There is no way any human could survive the wounds which have been inflicted upon these sad, slumped bodies. Over there, you see a woman slumped, the front of her once white apron stained with blackish blood. There is a gaping wound in her stomach, one through which her entrails have half escaped, in some sort of burgundy goop which might have once been pale pink. There is another woman slumped beside the first, of a smaller stature. She is skinnier. Maybe she is not a woman after all, but an adolescent like yourself. She might even be younger. The girl's age, or lack of, did not preclude her attacker from inflicting upon her horrors, alas, for her body is even more mutilated than the first. Her body is peppered with even more wheals, and her face has been half smashed in. Jesus! Only one eye remains, staring fixatedly at the wall opposite her, and the ruin remains of what was once her skull. Over there you see a woman who is missing both her arms and her lower jaw. Over there you see another who is missing her entire lower half. Where have her legs gone? You have no idea. Maybe this is where we were getting the food from. The injuries inflicted upon these bodies are ghastly, but their advanced decay is enough to turn your stomach. You know not how long these carcasses have been lying down here, but they have begun to putrefy. You fear a similar fate might befall you should you stay here. You need to escape. Fitfully, you struggle against the manacles which bind you, but alas, it is no use. You cannot free yourself from the walls. Your restraints are much too strong, and you are much too weak. Panic rises up in your throat, cold and icy, while terror seizes your heart, this too glacial. It is obvious that escape is impossible, but still you squirm and writhe like a rat caught in a firestorm. There is little point, however, to your struggles. You succeed in nothing as you attempt to free yourself, save making the steel manacles dig into your abused wrists more sharply than ever. You gasp. That hurts. Well, you ought to have known that would not work. The very definition of insanity is, you know, performing a set of action over and over again, hoping for a different response. In that sense, perhaps one could argue optimism is not so very different from insanity. Ain't that the truth? As someone who was formerly toxic positive, still somewhat. Now that is an interesting point to consider. Would you not agree? No, evidently not. You are still trying to escape, you foolish girl, as if that will do you any good. The clangorous rattling of your steely restraints is rather starting to get on my nerves. You are making enough noise to raise the dead down there, in your dark, dingy cell, and all your screaming is hardly helping matters. I wish that you would cease this infernal racket, but I know you will not. Nothing I say could ever get through to you. Not that you have ever listened to me in the first place. Perhaps you would listen to her, though. Is she not your kind, considerate mistress? Look now, she has come all this way into the dark depths of the castle's cold, inhospitable dungeon to see you. Is that not kind of her? Oh, dear one, the princess trills, entering the dungeon with a series of light, lilting steps. It would seem like you have finally awoken. How are you? Based on all that infernal racket you've been making, it would seem like you have no shortage of energy. Balefully, you turn your head so as to meet the eyes of the princess. She is standing but a few paces away, beneath the roughly hewn stone arch which bids one entry, but rarely ever an exit, to the dungeons. The dungeons are dull and drab, but the princess is wearing her favorite red dress. It is so bright and brilliant that, for a few moments, it hurts you to look at her. Once the red of the princess's outfit made you think of romance. Now it makes you think of violence. You must forgive me for leaving you down here for so long. That was unfair of me. I did think of waiting here with you, by your side, until you woke, but... Once again, the princess giggles, a light, airy giggle which does not at all suit the situation in which you have found yourself. A dungeon is not a fit place, after all, for a princess. It is horribly cold here, and so very drab, and there is nowhere nice and soft to lay my head. I could have brought my pillows down from my bed, I suppose, and my blankets, but then they would have gotten dirty, and that would be a disaster. I need to be more careful. I won't have anybody left to clean up after my messes soon, not when I've dispatched of you. This is crazy. Once again, the princess laughs. Her laughter is light and lilting, like the chiming of a silvery bell, but it does little to alleviate your concern. If anything, it makes you feel even more alarmed. Did she say she meant to dispatch of you? Yes, that's right. Could you not tell? I thought you might have figured that out already, after waking up in a dungeon, silly. Still smiling, the princess takes another step towards you. Would that you could, you would cringe away from her, but you cannot. You are completely powerless. Hello, lesbians? The princess reaches out and places a hand upon your cheek. Her skin is very white, and though her touch is cool, it is less so than the frigid air in the dungeon. Though your body is aching, the princess's touch is gentle, and you find yourself leaning into it subconsciously. You wish she would keep holding you. You wish she would keep touching you. You luxuriate in her kindness as best you can, but though the princess's caresses are tender, your circumstances rather undermine them. How can you relax like this? Ah, you're such a good girl, the princess says, in a cajoling sort of voice, as one might address a cat. You've been so lovely to me while we've been together. I really couldn't ask for a better servant. I feel as though I've been spoiled. Why, then, you ask her, is she doing this? Improbable though it sounds, she must be the one who chained you up. There is nobody else in the castle who could have committed such a feat. Everybody else is dead. Why yes, how very astute of you. I was the one who orchestrated all of this, naturally. Naturally, she says, as though her betrayal is a matter of course. Naturally. Why, you ask, is this so natural to her? What does she mean to do with you? Oh, only what I've done with all my other servants. I have experience with this sort of thing, so please don't worry. I'll take good care of you. And by take good care of, she means, naturally, I'll kill you. There it is again. There it is again. That word, which seems so grossly inappropriate given all that has transpired. Naturally. There's nothing natural about this. Do you not think so? The princess examines you, her expression ponderous. It's natural to me, even if it isn't natural to other people. This just feels right. Imprisoning her servants in the dungeon and letting them die? Yes, exactly. There's a bit more to do it than that, though. Oh, of course there is. I like you, dear one, the princess says, in a voice which sounds uncommonly serious. You have been good to me, like I said, and kind. For that I will be eternally appreciative. You have been so good to me, in fact, that simply being with you is not enough. Not anymore. Your company can no longer content me. I'm a greedy, selfish girl, you see. The princess's smile widens into something sinister, her eyes flashing with the fiendish fervor you have never before witnessed. And I don't want to feel you beside me. I want to feel you inside me. Well... We're getting our vor-ending, chat! Of all the things your charming captive could have said, you do not expect that. The princess, perhaps noticing your confusion, begins to giggle, a giggle even lighter than meringue, and just as airy. It's just as inoffensive. Nom. I can see that you don't understand, dear one, but you aren't the only one. My last lady's maid said that too. Wanly, the princess sighs, a beleaguered woe-is-me sigh, which makes her look even younger than the scant handful of years she truly possesses. And the one before that, and the one before that, and the one before that. I thought that you, at least, might be able to appreciate my point of view, but perhaps not. I don't think that it should be too complicated to grasp, really. But maybe my way of looking at the world is a little bit unique. That's what my nurse always used to say, at least, when she still had the breath to speak, of course. You look at the princess. Where else is there for you to look, really? Your eyes affixed to her face. She is still smiling, but there's something sinister about her smile. Or perhaps in your anxious state, you are only imagining that there is something sinister about her smile. It is easy to see things which do not really exist when your surroundings are festooned with shadows. In actuality, however, the princess does not look any different to how she usually does. Neither is she acting any differently to the way she usually acts. She has not changed. It is only your perspective of her that has changed. Tremulously, you ask the princess what she means, a question the princess is only too happy to answer. It's simple, really, like I said. You were wondering, weren't you, why there weren't any guards, or any servants in the castle when you first arrived here? The question had crossed your mind, yes. You are sure that the princess said her minister sent them away, though. Was that a lie? I wasn't being wholly truthful, no. I thought you would be afraid of me if you knew what had actually happened, and I didn't want that. I wanted you to stay with me. My ministers didn't send anybody away because I don't have any ministers. I dispatched of them, too. Did she now? You suppose you ought not to be surprised, but you still shudder regardless. My ministers weren't very much fun, I'm afraid. They had a lot of ideas about what I should do and shouldn't do after my parents died. The princess stares at you, her eyes wide like black holes, empty, yawning abysses. So I killed them. I killed my servants too, though I did a more thorough job with them than I did my ministers. I did not care for my ministers, you see. They were all fusty old men, but I did love my servants. I loved my ladies' maids, and my undermaids, and my scullery maids, and my housekeeper, and my cooks, and my large retinue of retainers. They were like my family. They raised me in my parents' absence, and I adored them. They were so very dear to me that I had no real choice. I had to eat them. Does that follow? Not logically, no. Why, you ask the princess, your voice trembling, would you eat the people that you love? Not to be controversial, but I understand where she's coming from. It seems a poor way to repay them for their kindness. Well, why wouldn't you eat the people that you love? I don't think there could be any greater way of showcasing one's gratitude unless you have any better ideas. Consume. Yes! To love something is to consume it. You weren't expecting the princess to turn the tables on you quite like this, and, dumbfounded, you stare at her. You know precious little about love yourself, so it is hard for you to form a convincing rebuttal, but you muster up a few token arguments. You tell the princess that eating people isn't very nice, and neither is it strictly legal. A better way to show your gratitude to your servants would be with increased wages or increased holidays. The princess listens to your arguments, her expression astute, like a student poised to take notes in a very important lecture. Once you are finished, however, her concentration fails her. Her shoulders begin to shake, but it is not with remorse for what she has done. Instead, she is laughing. Oh, dear one, that's very funny. But why should I care about the law? I'm a princess. One day I'll be the queen. I am the law. That is a good point. But would eating people not turn her subjects against her? What subjects? I'm no fool, you know, no matter how I might act, and I know what happens beyond the castle's walls. I know all about the plague. Once I might have had a populace to govern, but they're all gone now. I'm a princess in nothing but name only, a monarch without any subjects. Don't you think that's sad? I know I do. It's so woefully lonely. If she feels lonely, then why has she been systemically slaughtering all of her domestics? It doesn't make a lick of sense. Perhaps not, to you. Gently, the princess caresses your cheek. But I shouldn't judge you too harshly. As much as I like you, dear one, you're a commoner. Perhaps you can't understand the intricacies of my thoughts. Privately, you doubt that anybody would be able to understand the intricacies of the princess's thought process, largely because it is unreasonable. Well, I do understand where she's coming from. I can see her point of view in the situation. Not to say or to not say that I do or do not agree and or disagree with her feelings on the matter. You do not say that, though. Instead, you ask her the only question you can think to ask, with your weary throat, which is sore from shouting. Why? Why, you ask, the princess blinks. It's because I don't want you to leave me, of course. Everybody leaves sooner or later, whether they have pledged their allegiance to me or not. That is simply the way of the world. People are fickle and inconstant, even to me, a monarch. That is why I decided to eat my servants. I had no choice, you see. It was the only way to ensure that they would never leave me. Hold on a second. Alright, sorry. Become one! Okay. When you think about it, they should be grateful that I would demean myself so to consume their flesh and blood, savage. I am a magnanimous ruler, you see, and I treat all of my subjects equally. I love every single one of you. And naturally, I love you too. You have been awfully nice to me. Okay, I'm taking a sip. And I'm untrimmed. Oh, my back hurts so good. Ugh, did you guys hear that crack? Jesus. You have been awfully nice to me, and you are very pretty alongside of it. If you were a plain ugly girl, perhaps I would not shower you with affection quite as intense as this, but you've captured my heart. I think you're lovely. So I'll bestow upon you the highest honor I can conceive of. I want your body to mix with mine. Then we can stay together forever and ever. That's kind of erotic. The princess leans in. You can feel her soft silken hair brushing against your cheeks. Can feel, too, the warmth of her breath as it ghosts against your skin. It is cold in the dungeon, but the princess's close proximity is, perverse though this might sound, something of a comfort. Her eyes are wide and her lips are so red. Her smile, meanwhile, is so sweet. I've been doing my best to fulfill the role that fate has dictated for me, but really, the princess exhales. Her eyes, which are boring into yours, are like two dark tarns. Finally, you think you can see, in the alarming lack of light, the lack of anything, in the princess's gaze, some degree of humanity. It gets so lonely here. Roll credits! But this brief flicker of understanding, which passes between the pair of you, is soon cut short. The princess dips her head. She parts her lips, which are as red as the petals of a carnivorous flower. You feel the princess's breath against your neck. It is warm in the icy chill of the dungeons, and you shudder from it. For a few moments, you think that this overture of the princess's could be romantic in a way, but this too comes to a swift, merciless close. Oh my god. The princess's mouth is on your neck. The princess's teeth, sharp as needles, are in your flesh. The princess is draining your blood. She is supping on it in the great greedy gobbets like a hungry animal, one who cannot truly comprehend the harm it is causing. Even as the princess sups from you, her arms twined around your waist, you find you cannot hate her. She is far too unworldly. You are sure, as your consciousness begins to fade, that the princess was being sincere when she spoke of her love for her past servants. This is simply the way the princess expresses this great love of hers, a love which is so very abundant it borders upon the monstrous. It is a love you never thought you would ever experience. This love of the princess's eclipses anything you have ever known before. It eclipses sanity. It eclipses reason. It eclipses all notions you might once have had of right or wrong. The princess, as you know full well, does not care about such concepts. You have always possessed a stubborn core, nestled beneath your weak-willed exterior, but the princess is even stubborner than you are. In the face of her love, you have met your match. The princess draws back. Desperately, you gasp for air, but she does not give you any quarter. As before, she dips her head, her red lips redder still with your blood, then splits apart her jaw. Her teeth, which are impossibly inhumanly sharp, glint wickedly like knives, so she is a vampire. Then she tears out your throat. The front of your nightgown was white once. Now it is red. There is so much blood you can smell it when you inhale, sharper than metal. It is so potent you can taste it on your tongue. You try to inhale, but this task proves to be beyond you, what with the twin perforations that have ruptured your skin. Your attempted breaths, when they escape your lips, sound like sad, sorry wheezes. Your whole body, meanwhile, feels as though it is on fire. You make for quite the sorry sight indeed. But you'll forgive me if my sympathy is limited. You did bring this upon yourself, you know. You reap what you sow, and in your case, you made a series of bad decisions which led to your untimely demise. Now, what do you want to do? Will you accept this fate of yours and rest in peace, or will you try to fight against it? I guess we're gonna fight the fate again. That is a good answer. I must admit, I like it. It is impressive how very defiant you can be, even in a situation as discomforting as this. Now, try not to cry, keep your chin up. This is but a minor setback in your story. Like all fair maidens, you are deserving of your own happy ending. You need only the strength to try to seek it out. Why don't we give this another go? Just try not to ensnare the hearts of any more monarchs, particularly those with unusual appetites. You are destined for far higher purposes than being an entree, and there are vastly more enjoyable ways to be eaten in this world. That's what she said. Your fate is, once again, in your hands. Now I wonder, which path will you take? We did it, chat! We got the, cannibal ending! Let's fucking go! This game is fun. I don't care what anybody says. This visual novel eats. Not because of the cannibalism. It eats. Anyway. So that was the princess route of It Gets So Lonely here. How are we feeling? I enjoyed myself. I had a great time, personally. I don't know about everybody else.